Yeah, I think it was good for me, to sit back and just watch and learn a little bit. Obviously, I wish I was out there playing with the guys, but, it motivates me for next year and to get healthy and, just to do everything that, I want to do and accomplish this summer so that I can succeed next year.
What do you think about this season? Obviously, it was disappointing. Everybody was hoping playoffs and a little better than last year. You guys have finished so well against the Bulls last year. What do you think went wrong?
Yeah, I think we were all a little bit disappointed. I think we didn't really know, how we were going to gel as a team, and I think we thought it was, going to take a little bit longer than it did. We thought it was going to click,
Yeah.
you know,
Sooner.
yeah, sooner. So, definitely disappointed, for the season and because we didn't accomplish our goals. So, we just got to use it as motivation for next year.
How disappointing is it to go into a summer injured again? This has been, I think, 2 of your 3 summers have been injured. How big of a difference does it make to be healthy against being injured going into an off season?
I think it plays a big part, and I'm thankful that my rehab is going to be over in time, so I have a lot of time to really work on things, and it's going to be a summer where I don't have to worry about any injuries. I can just focus on really getting better.
With that rehab, when do you think you'll be able to start doing some more stuff?
Since my surgery, it's a 3-month rehab, so I've already done about 5.5 weeks, so it's 12 weeks, so that's what I gotta reach, and as soon as I hit that 12-week mark, then I got June, July, August.
So it should be full go from that point
Yeah.
once you get through those 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty good, isn't it? I mean, that was good to have the surgery when you did.
Right,
and
right,
kinda
yeah.
set that up that
Yeah,
way.
it definitely was. It was great. To have the surgery. When I did, and to be really on top of it, so I can get healthy.
So then this summer with Giannis being the point guard, does that change kind of how you prepare, what you work on, what you're thinking about?
No. I think I'm still going to be working on the same things. Playing. Being the point guard. I think this Giannis playing point guard next year it got a little out of hand. I think he definitely is going to control the ball a lot more. But as far as he's not going to guard a point guard, I'll be guarding the point guard, and I think we're just playing through Giannis a lot more. And so I don't know. I guess you guys can everyone call him a point guard. I watch Draymond Green. He handles the ball a lot, and he gets a lot of assists. And I wouldn't say he's a point guard or LeBron or someone like that. So I think that whole what am I going to do now because Giannis is the point guard thing is a little bit blown out of proportion.
Because is it the multiple ball handlers we're seeing all around the
Right,
NBA
right,
now?
right. Yeah, yeah. There's multiple guys who can handle the ball. When I play with Giannis, a lot of time he brings up the ball. You know what I mean? So it's not a thing as where I'm panicking and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do because you know what I mean.
Right.
So I'm just going to go out there and get better at every attribute in my game and be successful on the floor.
And obviously, Coach Gibb, when I asked him, I said, so what do you have to do better? First thing he said was shooting, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, you realize that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I definitely have to, get more consistent shooting the ball, and that's something I plan to continue to work on.
In the
Did you
same
think
sense,
this
though,
year-
Michael, are there things that will change? Will there be things that change? I mean, you said it's not kind of overblown or whatever, but will there be things next year that you feel like will change or that you may have to adjust a little bit or anything of that ilk?
Yeah, I think to be honest, I don't think too much is going to change. Obviously as players get better. Giannis is a talented guy. He's a potential star in this league. So I think if it helps the team of him getting the ball through the offense, more, then that's what we want to do. We want to be the best we can be. So I don't know if it's going to be a huge change, but he's going to definitely be getting the ball more. And it's not like if a guy passes me the ball after they get a rebound, I'm going to go to Giannis. We want to run. We want to run as a team. So I don't think it's changed too much. I think our main focus is right now is to get better. You know what I mean? Just to improve our skills, be able to knock down the open shot, and that's what me and Giannis talk about. We love playing on the floor with each other. So it's it's a good thing that that we're able to talk things out. But we're really focused on just getting better.
As far as shooting, are you going to focus more on the mid-range area or the three-point shot?
I think both. You know, I'm definitely, you know, starting in close and, you know, readjusting my shot a little bit, and then, you know, just to keep moving out. But, you know, I want to be consistent in both areas.
Is there anything you have to do technically, Michael, or is it more just confidence?
No, I think it's, you know, I think I need to clean some things up on my shot.
Okay.
And, you know, same thing, you know, as I, you know, start hitting shots, and, you know, Coach Kidd is, you know, confident in us now that, you know, we got to, you know, practice the open shot so we can shoot them next year.
One of the biggest changes this year was defensively. You guys have gone from top of the league now to the middle of the league here by the end of the season. What was the change there, and did you guys get more comfortable as the season went on? It seemed like you guys did a little bit better here after the All-Star break.
Yeah, you know, I think for one thing, we had you know, a lot of home games, which helped us out, you know, after the break. You know, we got, you know, we had some bad luck with injuries this year, and, you know, that hurt us on, you know, we had John out. He's a big part of our defense, so he was out, and Bayless was out a while, and OJ, so, and Grievous. So, you know, a lot of and then I was out, you know, the second half of the year. So, you know, I mean, it's tough to, you know, really, you know, getting in the system and, you know, really, you know, gel on defense together when, you know, a lot of guys are injured. But, you know, we just, you know, this year we gave up a lot of threes. And, you know, I think it's something that we need to focus on, and it will really help our defense next year.
Yeah, the defense is, would you say that was the biggest thing, Michael, was allowing those threes?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that, you know, we gave up that we couldn't. And the crazy thing is, you know we can do it. You know, we've taken away the three from the best. So
you've done it in some games.
And exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So,
yeah.
So we got to be more consistent as a team.
Is the biggest thing to kind of fix in that aspect the communication? I think JOB said communication is one thing about that, but I guess in your opinion, what's kind of like the main thing that you guys have to fix in order to fix that?
Yeah, I mean, the big part of defense is communication, and, you know, we need to, you know, do a better job of communicating, and we need to do a better job of getting our positions early so, you know, we can react out. A lot of times we'll be out of position, and then it causes us to give up a three. So those two things I think will, you know, really help us a lot.
Communication you mentioned, is that something you think you can improve on as you get older as a player? Is that something, or does it just come with time, or is it something you can actually physically work on?
No, I think it's something you can work on. We need to do a better job communicating as a team, off the court and on the court. So, you know, I think it's hard when you're young, but, you know, it's something that we need to do, and, you know, we're all growing up. So, you know, in this league, you know, you really got to communicate if you want to be a good team.